Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let us continue our contemplation on the Narayana Panjara. So far we have completed around 9 verses. Now we have to go on to the 10th verse. We saw that Prasanna Venkatadasaru bows down to Narayana, chanting his name again and again after each and every recollection of his glory, as he appeared as the Mula Rupa or as he appeared in the avataras. Now we are looking at the Rama avatara, where he had described about how Sugriva obtained the grace of Rama, and because of that he won over the kingdom of Kishkinda, and he was engaged in the sweet grace. He was engaged in the sweet singing of the glory of Narayana. His name itself is Sugriva, whose throat is full of sweetness. So how does one's throat become sweet? By the singing and chanting of the Narayana Nama. Because then what happens? The throat becomes more and more subtle and pure. And because of that, whatever it utters, whatever it thinks, it says, that becomes true. That such a nice and lovely throat Sugriva had can be seen in the event that he selected Hanuman to go south. There were many kapis and all of them had different directions to go to. But Sugriva selected him who would find Sita to go in the right direction where Sita is to be found. He is Sugriva. Now Sugriva had obtained the grace of Rama, and we bow down to that Narayana, is what Prasanna Venkatadasaru says. So that means what he wants us to recollect, that every avatara of Rama is, every avatara of Narayana is completely flawless and full of auspicious attributes, and any incidents in Rama avatara which may indicate otherwise has to be reinterpreted in the correct light, knowing that it must be a drama. If a person is able to and he does not show that he is able to, that means it is his willingness to not show it for some reason. For the sake of play, it can be. For the sake of leela, it can be. So Acharya Madhva says that all the actions in Ramavatara which may be contradicting his name as Narayana, that is auspiciousness, infinite auspiciousness, which are flawless, that is because he himself wanted to delude the Duratmas, and that is the main reason that he pretended that he was searching for Sita or that he was needing the support of Sugriva. So we should not think otherwise. We have to understand it in the right light. And that is also Prasanna Venkatadasaru's bhava. We can see that, and we did see it in the beginning when we started Narayana Panjara, because he says Madhvesha Madhva Priya Madhvamata Paripala Narayanaya Namo Narayana. With the word Madhva, when he is concluding, he understands, he feels that he wants to tell the people or the reader who is going to chant this to be aware that this Narayana whom I am portraying through my heart is that Narayana who was propitiated by Acharya Madhva through his prameyas. And finally, I would like to add on one small verse from the Vishnu Stuti composed by Trivikrama Panditacharya before I begin. Because every time when I think that I am chanting the glory of Narayana, when I am trying to explain the glory of Narayana, is it really possible to do that? Is a question that we have to ask ourselves. Because the great glory of Narayana is unthinkable, unreachable, uncontemplated upon even by the greatest of the great. So how does Trivikrama Pandita Acharyaru talk about the glory of the dust of the feet of Vishnu? He says, Kidrishyasteshu vacha kvacha katamatava kasya vardikriyeran abdau srotas taranga ivacha guru girau yadgunauge skalanti dadyuhu kadhyotapota dyutimati tanavas tatra kim yatra raja Madhyannarke samagro glapita ivacha krito nigrahaschagrahanam. So he is saying, just as the rivers all flow towards the sea and they get lost inside it, they are not significant when compared to the sea's greatness and its vastness. Similarly, the words of the great gurus themselves are not much significant in explaining the glory of the dust of the feet of Narayana, he says. Then he says, how is there anyone who can sing his glory at all? And if there is such a person, what part of the glory will he sing? Which concept is he going to explain? Because each one of them is infinite in nature. Who is that man who can do it? Even the great gurus find themselves to be like small rivers falling into the ocean. The words of the gurus themselves are like that. They do not have they do not do exact justice to the greatness and the vastness of his gunas, is what is intended here. And then he says, look at the sun. The sun is so brilliant when it comes out in the morning time. And then all the stars, all the suns, all the planetary positions which may have been brilliant in the night before, they recede to darkness. They recede back. We don't see anything about them. Do you think when you look up at the sky in the sun during the afternoons, we can spot any of these stars? They are there, but we don't spot them because of the brilliance of the sun. Their brightness just pales in front of the sun. Similarly, he says, I am nothing to sing this long to this glory of Vishnu's dust, the feet of Vishnu. How can I sing it? I am not even like a small firefly. You know, the firefly has to flutter, flutter, flutter and try to make itself bright. And then, will that firefly's light be visible in front of the sun's glory? Never. It can never be even spotted in the daytime, however much it might attempt. So he's saying, I am not even that mitte hulu. I'm much more less than that. So how can I sing his glory? I would like to prostrate in front of my guru, Sri Pannanji Govindacharya, who explains these kind of concepts, that how is the vastness of Paramatma? I mean, how do you understand it? That itself shows that it's so vast and infinite. And so understanding that is something which is beyond the comprehension of even Mahalakshmi. Thinking about that, we bow down to Narayana and beg of him to allow us to contemplate as much as we can of his glory by his grace. And that is very important to understand, that it is by his grace that we can do anything at all. ಶರಣು ಹೊಕ್ಕಿರೆ ವಿಭೀಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅರಸತನ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಶರದಿ ರಾವಣನ ಅರಿದು ಸುರರ ಸಂಕಟ ಹರಿದೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ. Now Prasanna Venkatadasaru says that Narayana, who gave Sugriva his place as the king of Kishkinda, who accepted Kishkinda's offer of the seva of the Kapis and came forth towards Lanka, that Rama gave the entire kingdom of Lanka to Vibhishana and crowned him as the king of Lanka. And what did Vibhishana do to receive such favors from Rama, to receive this bountiful grace of Rama? May we not do the same kind of seva to Rama to obtain our cherished desires? Yes. And that's what he says, Sharanu hokki ire, Sharanu hokki re, Sharanu hokku ire. Ire means to be there. What did Vibhishana do? He was silently submitting himself to the will of the supreme power. He was born as Ravana's brother, but he was in his mind always devoted to Sri Hari, to Vishnu, who was the master of the world. He never at all agreed with anything of what Ravana did, and he used to even periodically advise him not to do such atrocities. But they all went in vain. He continued to worship the supreme power, abiding for his time. And when the time came that he had to choose either this or that, he left what all he knew. He left everything that was his relation and he went. I mean, that is a big kind of, deciding factor. When you have to leave everything, then you should have trust in that other force much more than what you think these things can give you. That is what Vibhishana had. He had the trust in Rama and he abided for his time. So he, Sharanu Hokku Ire, he was waiting for Rama's grace. He was waiting He did Sharanagati and he was waiting. That is what is told by Prasanna Venkata Dasaru. He was waiting for his time. And that is what is called as to understand the grace of Paramatma, and that it will surely be on one who is in surrender. To understand that, we see so many Devarnamas are there where the Sharanagati is advocated. Jagannatha Dasaru also says, Sharana Jana Mandara Shashwata Karuni Kamala Kanta Kamada Parama Pavana Tarasu Mangala Charita Partha Saka. Sharano Jana Mandara, Sharana Janaru, whoever are surrendering to him, to that person, Narayana, Ramachandra is always gracious. He gives him whatever is in his mind. Mandara means manasu. He takes the mind of the devotee and he bears it, he says. He dharana means to bear it. So what is in the mind? Thoughts. What is in the mind? Contemplations, the wishes and the desires, which may not be told out also. But every bit of it is borne by the Lord Himself to those who have done Sharanagati. They do not seek for it. They may have the desires, they may have the Ishta Arthas which they want, but Paramatma sees to it that they are fulfilled. They fall at the feet of Rama and they do Sharanagati. So Rama songs are in plenty by different Dasarus, we see that. And Sharanu Venkata Ramana Ninna Charanavanam Bidenanu Ninna Charanavanam Bidenanu. So this is a Devarnama which says Sharanu Venkata Ramana Charanava Nambide Nanu. Who can do the Sharanagati? That is simply told in this Pallavi by Purandara Dasaru. He says, Charanava Nambide Nanu. I can do the Sharanagati only if I have the trust, faith in your feet. In your lotus feet, I am having that Sharanagati because I trust you. And so trust is very, very important in performing the Sharanagati, which Vibhishna had. What did he do? Whatever he knew ever since his birth was Lanka and the people of Lanka. All his brothers and his family. He had lot of wealth, family. But he took his wife and children and he left the entire place and he went to Ramachandra's feet, seeking the grace and was ready for the dispersal. Whatever he says, he was ready to do that. With that attitude, if the bhakta is waiting for the grace, it will definitely come. Sharanu hokkire vibhishana arasutana kotte. Narayanaya namo Narayana. So I bow down to that Narayana who knew the inner recesses of that bhakta and he gave him the abhishta. Not that Vibhishana came here with the attitude to be crowned as the king, but he was sure that the victory of Rama is certain. And the victory of the good is what he was seeking, and that happened. To continue the dharma, to continue the goodness, the appropriate leader has to be chosen. And Rama did not annex the kingdoms that he won over. He gave it to the appropriate leaders. Sharadi Ravanana Aridu. Then after that, what did Rama do? Before he crowned Vibhishana as the king, he first had Ravana to tackle. In order to reach Lanka, the Kapisena and every one of them needed to cross the Sharadi, to cross the ocean. And Varuna would not immediately give way as per the request of Rama. Then Rama took out the arrow and he decided to teach Varuna a lesson. With this intention, when he started swinging the bow, Varuna himself appeared before Rama. The god of the ocean came down and begged Rama to forgive him, to just give the agnya, to order him, and he would just accomplish what was required. Then, as per the orders of Rama, the bridge was built by the Kapis. How did it happen? They threw the stones onto the ocean and the ocean would just bear them. They were not sinking. Normally what happens, even a small pebble sinks in the ocean. But by the grace of Rama, and Varuna was ordered not to allow the stones to sink. So all the boulders that the Kapis brought along and threw it into the ocean, they floated. Rama, Rama, Rama was the word that they chanted, and they built the entire bridge to Lanka. Then Rama approached Lanka and he had a righteous war with Ravana, and Ravana was killed. So he says, Sharadi Ravanana Aridu. He killed Ravana. And what did he do? He did Surara Sankata Haridu. Suraru had lot of, Suraru means Brahmadi Devategalu. They were in a big trouble because of Ravana. He was trying to annex everything. He was not allowing any good work to be done on earth. Any yajna, yaga, they were all spoiled by his men or by the Rakshasas that he used to send. And he never allowed any dharma to happen in the world. So he was a real foe to the Devatas. They had approached Narayana in the Kshira Sagara and begged of him to relieve the burden of the earth. Brahmadigalu ಕ್ಷೀರಸಾಗರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀನಾರಾಯಣರ ಪಾದಕ್ಕೆರಗಿ ಭೂಭಾರ ಹರಣವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಇಳೆಯೊಳು ಮನುಜರ ಅವತಾರವಾಗಿ ಜೋ ಜೋ. So we see this song by Purandar Dasru where he says, Brahmadigalu, they went to Ksheerasagara where Lakshmi and Narayana were there, and they told Bhubhara Haranavanu Madabekagi. The entire earth is suffering from the burden of the atrocities of Ravana. So you have to take avatara and relieve the burden of the earth. And that is what Rama did. ಶರದಿ ರಾವಣನ ಅರಿದು ಸುರರ ಸಂಕಟ ಹರಿದೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಅನುಜನ ಅಗ್ನಿ ಧುಮುಕಲ್ ಅವಧಿ ಮೀರದೆ ಪೊರೆದೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಅನಿಮಿಷರ ನಿಖರದಿ ಆಹ್ಲಾದ ಬೆಳೆಯಿಸಿದೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ. ಅನುಜನಿಗೆ ಅಗ್ನಿ ಪ್ರವೇಶ. ಅಗ್ನಿ was Anuja is one of the Anujas is Bharata. And Bharata had taken an oath that on a certain day, after the 14 years of exile, the certain day when he has to return, the exact day, if at the right time Rama would not return, then he would create the fire and enter into it. So the fire was already there ready for the yajna of his own self as the ahuti. Bharata was perfectly ready to leave his body. He was in total, when he found out that Rama had left for the forest, he was in total a mess, like his mind was totally aghast at what his mother had asked for. And he went in search of Rama and begged of him to come back and rule the kingdom, which was his rightful property. But Rama had only given him the Paduka. So when he took the Paduka and he left it in the main Ayodhya throne, and then he came outside and he sat in the precincts of the Ayodhya kingdom, where it was more like a monastic life, like life of a recluse, but he was not enjoying anything, ruling the kingdom as a rightful, authority should. He maintained the dharma, he maintained the kingdom as it should be maintained, because he wanted to hand it over to Rama in a good state. And with that intention, he had asked Rama that he should come back before the certain day and time. And on that day, as usual, he finished all his duties and he decided to wait for Rama, keeping the fire ready in case the time is, once the time is above and Rama has not returned, then he has to jump into the fire. That was his mind. Like he had made a firm intention for that. Rama, who knew all these things, came rightly on time. And that is his grace. He came rightly on time and he fulfilled the wish of his brother. Bharata wanted Rama to ascend the throne. Bharata wanted to see him as the king. Bharata wanted to serve him as the brother. And he was given all these bounties by the Lord Narayana. And then Animishara Nikaraka Ati Aklada Beleisde. Nikara means groups. So the groups of animishas means devatas. So the devatas, they were very, very thrilled and happy with this avatar of Narayana. We can think about this as the verse which is coming in between Rama avatara and Krishna avatara. So devatas were very happy with this avatar of Rama. Devatas were very happy with the avatar of Krishna, which is going to be told next. In Rama avatara also, Rama gave the opportunity for all the devatas to serve him, and they were in great bliss because of that. As a Kapi Sena, there were many of these Kapis who were all actually Devata Purushas. We know for certain Mukhya Prana was Hanuman himself. And we know that there was many other Devatas who were there serving him. Lakshmana was Kesha, Bharata is the Abhimanyu of the Chakra, and Sita was Mahalakshmi herself. So many, all the Devatas were there with Rama, and he was giving them an opportunity to serve and to be in great bliss as a result. So Rama was in great bliss. Rama is always in great bliss. And those who associate with Rama were also in bliss, as was seen by the avatar of Rama, where he gave the opportunity for service and then he accepted the service and then bestowed bliss on them. Similarly, as Krishna, he appeared on the earth as in the Chandra Vamsha. And in Chandra Vamsha, he was born as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, giving them bliss because they had been praying for a son who was like Vishnu. So Paramatma said, there's no one like me, I will only be your son. And he came and did the avatar of Krishna. And in the avatar of Krishna also, he gave the opportunity to the Devatas to be present there in different forms and to serve him. And as a result of the service, they obtained bliss. So we see that those who are going to serve Rama, those who are going to serve Rama in different ways. So service to Rama can happen in many ways. One is through conditioning of our own selves to be in the best mode that we can by accepting what is given to us without complaining. And then to be of service to others as much as we can within our limits, like what we have, intellect, what kind of riches we have, what kind of health and abilities we have, using those things, what we can do to help others. That is also one way to serve Rama, to serve Narayana. And by this he is pleased. For what are the verses that describe the methods of pleasing Rama or Krishna or Narayana is told in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, where he says that you have to be Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuneva Cha, and all those verses come in the Bhagavad Gita, telling don't be of hatred to anyone, be of a Maitri Bhava, means of friendship. Extend your hand in friendship to everyone. What you think about them will be what is reflected to you. So be of a friendship to everyone. Then he says, do not be of a violent nature. And violence can happen in your mind, it can happen through your tongue or through the body. So what I say is that you should be of ahimsa. I like people who are of that nature, he says. I like people who are of above the dvandvas, he says. Santushto, Nitya Sattvasto, these are all the gunas that he explains of the devotee. Santushtaha means who is pleased with what is there with him. So pleased with what is there with him doesn't mean that we don't have to strive for better. We have to strive for better without feeling that what we have is because of our own accomplishments. It is bestowed by the grace of Hari. And whatsoever may be in store for us, that is the best for us. And we continue to work hard to achieve the goal, not the fruit of the achievement. So the goal is to study the Shastra, not to be crowned as the greatest Vidwan in the world, but to understand God, to understand his ways and how his leelas are going on in the world and how that truth can uplift anyone. So these kind of thoughts are conveyed in this verse where In one line, Dasaru says that Animishara Nikaraka Ati Akladavanu Beleiside. He is always uplifting the Animishas. Animishas means who do not close their eyelids at all. So what the devatas never sleep. They don't need sleep like the normal human beings do. Their bodies of a different nature. They don't have the thirst and hunger that we have, and they can appear in so many forms at one time and do so much work at one time without feeling the tiredness. Those animishas are referred to here by the word animisha. So what may this convey to us? We have to contemplate on that. Animisha means those who don't close their eyelids. Upon the whole world, upon everything that they do, they don't close. So what we have to do? We have to not close our eyes to the glory of God. That much if we do, it's enough. Then what happens? The aklada comes to us. If you can keep your eyes open to the glory of Lord, because the glory of Lord is happening everywhere, but we are not able to set our eyes on it. Once we start setting our eyes on that glory of the Lord, then what happens? Your heart start becoming full of bliss. And that is what is told here. Animishara Nikarak Ati Aklada Belayisde. Belayisde is increasing the bliss means what? Every moment they are enjoying that whatever the action is being done by them, that action itself contributes to greater bliss. For example, Dasaru in the Bhojana Rasa Vibhaga Sandhi says that in this world everyone is getting what they need by the eat whatever they eat. No, their Chaturavida Anna is there, and in these Chaturavida Annas, people Chaturavida Rasas are there. And Animishariga Ananda he gives because they witness the glory of Paramatma. The body obtains a pushti. The manasu obtains Karana Kananda. Karana means the manasu and all the indriyas. They are very happy while eating. After eating also the mind is very elated and satiated. Animishariga Atma Pradarshana Sukavaniva Hari. So animeshas, they obtain the ananda by looking at the glory of Paramatma. Atma Pradarshana Sukavaniva Hari. How is this happening? By the one act of eating, so many people are being satiated. How is this happening? That is the glory of God which is witnessed by the devatas every time someone eats anything or drinks anything. So thinking about these glories of Narayana, we move on to the Krishna Avatara in the verse number 12, where he says, Narayana came as Krishna. And now what did he do in Krishna Avatara? Uri nungi, giri negahi, vrajava palane madde, Narayanaya namo Narayana, Uragana eletandavana, Raniyara stuti golide, Narayanaya namo Narayana, Uri nungi. In Kichanu nungi, when Krishna was in Vrajabhumi, that is in Vrindavana, he was being attacked by many different types of Rakshasas sent by Kamsa. Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna because he had heard the future being foretold when he was taking Devaki and Vasudeva in the chariot on their wedding day, that the eighth son of Devaki would be his annihilator. With that view, he was trying to annihilate every other Shishu that was born during the time of the birth of Krishna. And so he sent Putana, he sent Trinavarta, he sent Shakatasura and all. And at one time, there was a possibility of when Kalinga Mardana took place. After that, when they had to return back to their place, it was already nightfall and the forest cannot be crossed during the night. So they all decided to stay the night there itself on the banks of Yamuna. And during the night when they were staying, at that time, the Agni, there was a huge forest fire created by the evil forces, which tried to engulf all the people there. The Vrajavasis who had come, the Ananda and Yashoda and Krishna. But Krishna, he just followed the entire Agni and he saved all of them. Then Giri Negehi. when Indra was upset because his ego was hit, when Krishna told all the Govalas that they can pray to the Govardhana Giri instead of praying to Krishna or to Indra. So at that time, when Indra decided to shower the earth with so much of water that they would be not knowing what to do, he wanted to wash away everything in the water. But Krishna would not let that happen. He told every one of the people in Vrindavan to come along with him. He lifted the Govardhana with his tiny left finger and he asked everyone to enter under that space along with all their animals, cattle, their calves and everything. And there they stayed till the entire deluge stopped. Without any feeling of hunger, without any feeling of tiredness, without thirst, they were very happy and in bliss under that canopy of the Govardhana Giri. So Vrajava Palane Madide. At every time when there was any kind of danger coming to the Vrindavana, to the people of Vrindavana, at that time Paramatma always protected and uplifted them. To that Narayana I bow down. And then during the time of the Kalinga Mardana, when the Naga Patnis, when that Kalinga's queens came along and prayed to Krishna, telling him, "You are the master of the world, and what we have done is the wrong thing. We should not have done this. What our husband has done is the wrong thing. So please forgive us." And Paramatma is the supreme forgiver of everyone meaning whoever surrenders to him. When they acknowledged that the fault is theirs and they sought forgiveness from him, he forgave them. They sang his glory in many, many verses in the Bhagavatam. And Prasanna Venkatadasru also, in his Dashamaskanda Bhagavata Vivarana, has devoted an entire song mostly to the singing of the glories by the Nagapatnis. So that is recollected here. And he says, to that stuti of the Nagapatnis, you have showed your grace and you showed them the place where they have to go and stay with their husband without the fear of Garuda attacking them. Narayanaya Namo Narayana. With this in mind, we bow down to Narayana as the supreme protector and who bestows grace on those who surrender to him. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.